Good morning. Gary DeWall here, and this is Bridging the Week from March 31st to April 4th, and today is April 7th. The financial services industry seemingly took a pause last week, either to read or watch debates about Michael Lewis's new book, Flash Boys. As a result, I would be derelict not to add my views to the fire. Certainly Mr. Lewis is a gifted author, and is able to leave you hanging after most sentences, only too eager to pounce onto the next. That being said, I found Mr. Lewis's non-fiction account of high-frequency trading more like a novel than the factual account it purports to be. Many times, Mr. Lewis takes the mundane and ordinary, but through exhilarating manipulation of language, makes it seem illegal. In other circumstances, Mr. Lewis spends pages upon pages attacking something, only to insert a single sentence or phrase actually exonerating the practice he just mightily condemned. But the brief sentence or phrase is buried and boring, and not written nearly as excitedly as his other prose. As a result, once you begin to carefully analyze Mr. Lewis' tale, you quickly conclude that his story, quote-unquote, is full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. However, in my view, Shakespeare's drama Macbeth is far more compelling. Better to spend your money on a paperback of that. Check out my full review on my website to understand why. In more substantive news, the UK Financial Conduct Authority has joined the list of international regulators who have published an itinerary of their regulatory priorities for 2014 and 15, as well as its own assessments of risk impacting the UK financial services industry. One of their big concerns are, quote, environmental conditions that affect firms' ability to make profits from their core products and business lines, end of quote. The Financial Conduct Authority raises concerns specifically that firms under financial pressure may move into new product lines, geographic locations, or adopt practices or standards, quote, to the detriment of consumers' outcomes or their financial crime responsibilities, end of quote. The over-the-counter derivatives regulator group issued a report last week to the G20 member jurisdictions setting forth a list of outstanding issues related to the global reform of the OTC derivatives market. Among other things, the regulatory group is working to identify, quote, gaps and duplicative requirements in the treatment of foreign branches and affiliates and continue to explore potential solutions for those cases, end of quote. Back in the U.S., 2 men were charged last week by the Securities and Exchange Commission for trading on confidential information they overheard during their wives' telephone calls with their employers. According to each complaint, each husband's wife had warned her spouse not to trade on confidential information regarding their employees. Did they listen? Nah, they should have. Last week on April 3rd, James Giddens, the trustee for the Securities Investor Protection Trustee Act, liquidation of MF Global, announced that beginning last Friday, additional funds would be returned to former MF Global customers to allow them to recover 100% of the funds they lost when the firm failed in October 2011. When the distribution is made, more than US $6.7 billion will have been returned to over 26,000 customers of the failed combined broker-dealer and futures commission merchant. Very good news indeed. Let's hope that the overseas customers at the overseas affiliates will do equally well. The prior week, the trustee for Peregrine Financial Group announced it had reached a settlement with J.P. Morgan Chase, one of the defunct firm's former bankers, that will result in the bank returning over US $14 million of the PFG funds and paying an additional US $1.25 million to the bankruptcy estate. And very briefly, the Financial Action Task Force has updated its list of bad boy jurisdictions, while the Chicago Mercantile Exchange has extended its requirements related to customer identification codes on order records to block trades and EFRP transactions. Check out the details on my website. Well, that's it for this week's abbreviated video version of Bridging the Week. For more information on each article and more articles, check out the article version of Bridging the Week on my website. I'm Gary DeWall, and until next week, have a productive week, enjoy your reading of Flash Boys, if you have not already read the book, and ciao!